Go, go, go! Keep running! Run, 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 run! Sprint! We'll make it! Use the boost to get through!
Aha, pizza delivery!
No, keep going! Keep going!
Oh, wait. Oh, shit. We're not gonna make it.
Would you grenade this ever again?
Oh no! Oh no!
This car.
This is actually better than the car one.
Ah!
No, I'm drowning! We had no stamina! Troops, I saw a bear here. Welcome to Update 57 for Foxhole. I'm deciding to call this update the Freeze and Thaw Update, as we are getting some pretty big weather revamps for Foxhole, a new transport ship, and a new constructible superweapon. To kick off this update, let's start with some of the UI changes. When you're first opening the game, you will now receive this message telling you the rules and code of conduct for the game. Next is the options menu. It more or less has the same options, but now it's been completely rearranged and looks a lot better. Once you get into the game, if you look in your map screen, you'll see map posts are now divided into more categories. The categories now include public, squad, regiment, intelligence, facility, and logistic posts. Each post type also comes with a new color for its icon. Though, note to the devs, I would like to see these changed to different symbols, so that they're more easily identifiable and easier for people with colorblindness. Next up, for all passenger seats in any open vehicles, binoculars and sidearms are now available to these passengers to use, not just the primary side seat, but all side seats on vehicles. For your own personal inventory, there is now a Sort Inventory button, which will combine incomplete stacks of items together and sort them so that they take up the top and leftmost slots in your inventory. Additionally, you can subdivide or split stacks for a custom amount of items. All you have to do is hold down the control button and right-click and hold until you get the stack exactly split how you want. Just move the slider back and forth. And the item sorting doesn't just apply to your own inventory, it applies to the majority of the inventories you'll run into in the game. Simple, but extremely handy. Up next are some map changes. The biggest one you'll notice is the home region. Several areas in the home region have been changed to give better tutorials to new players. The firing range has been expanded and extended. The basic training course also includes a suppression and firefighting training area. A new sign has been added by the docks. Tutorial signs should now reflect the keybinds the player has set. A bridge has been added between the beginner resource area and a new path that leads to the artillery range. A storage depot has been added to the motor pool with some pre-built vehicles inside of it. And the biggest change is that a facilities training area is now available. It's small, but it'll get new players started. Oh, and a windsock has been added to the artillery firing range. More on that later. Now this is pretty good. The home region has been in dire need of an update of any kind in a long time. That being said, it still falls short of the suggestion series I made about a year ago regarding the home region. Be sure to click on that to see what other ideas I brainstormed, and hopefully the devs will implement a few of them in the near future. A few other map changes include various shipyards and seaports have been adjusted to accommodate the change to the BMS Iron Ship. In Fisherman's Row, the area around the Idolo seaport has been adjusted to reduce buildable area as structures could easily obstruct vehicle movement. And in Slicken Shelf, Crystal Fleet Inlet River has had its ice fully filled in. A new ship has been added to Naval gameplay, as well as a revamp of an old ship. The BMS Iron Ship, aka the Freighter, has been redesigned. It's now scaled and more in line functionally with the other ships. There are now decks that you can walk around on at the fore and aft of the ship. although the cargo hold doesn't make it a continuous circuit. The passenger seat in the main section has been converted to a spotter seat, so now you get early warning if pirates are approaching. And there's a small extra seat up front for whatever reason. The new ship is the BMS Bowhead, constructed using the dry docks. This is a ship designed specifically to carry large quantities of resource containers and raw resources. The positions on the vessel are the driver's seat at the aft of the ship. Next to him is the spotter seat, also at the aft. Below decks you have these storage units, which you can only access from the top. But you've also got a container or vehicle pad. You can't store vehicles here except for harvesters, so this is purely a resource-driven ship. You can also store resource containers here as well. Next to the cargo hold, you've got the control winch to open the hatch and the engine room. So you can either submit your raw resources to the stockpiles on the top of the ship, or load containers off flatbeds into the cargo hold itself. Just remember that when you're setting sail, be sure to raise the anchor, raise any gangplanks you have, and close the cargo hatch, and then you'll be able to sail. Moving on to the revamped weather systems in Foxhole. First up, let's talk about rainstorms. Mud no longer accumulates on your uniform or slows you down constantly. Now, it is locational, based off of puddles that will appear on the ground. Standing in these puddles will increase your encumbrance, and standing outside of them, on grass, road terrain, or on concrete, will wash the mud away. So now it's less about never putting yourself in the rain, and more about avoiding wet spots on the ground. This also extends to construction. You can now no longer construct on wet or soaked areas. Now you have to avoid them. However, for trenches and fortifications that are built prior to a rainstorm happening, they will now flood on areas that might otherwise develop puddles. And if you want to clear these areas, you'll have to use buckets, although that will only be a temporary fix. Shovels can also help to remove some water and mud from the trenches. During rainstorms, trench warfare might actually be less viable than standing in the open. Another tool to help you out with the weather is the new windsock. This piece of equipment can be built at the factory under the wrench icon. You'll also need a tripod to accompany it. Otherwise, it's just like any tripod piece of equipment. Place down your tripod first, then place the windsock on top. It will help you to tell the wind direction and wind strength. And it's more accurate and detailed than the smaller flags on, say, foxholes or garrisons. So this will most likely be used primarily at artillery positions. It's too bad though that it doesn't come with a faction flag. It would have been really nice to raise the flag for morale. The last weather that needs to be covered is snowstorms. For the average infantryman, snowstorms will act as they always have. You'll get cold and you'll need to heat up. No difference there. But the devs are reintroducing the feature where winter storms will freeze over water bodies, allowing vehicles to pass over top of them. Now, that being said, depending on the size and weight of the vehicle, or its class, the ice will begin to crack underneath your treads. Heavier vehicles will crack the ice faster. All the vehicles? So do not get caught out on the ice and take a pit stop. You have to keep moving. And I wouldn't even consider crossing the ice in a super heavy tank. If you stop for a second, you're dead. Just keep going until it takes us. However, just traversing the ice isn't the only way you can break it. Explosives can be used to break the ice. Artillery is obviously another good option to break the ice. Even better if you can break it while an enemy vehicle is passing over top. As for ships, lighter vessels will not be able to carve through the ice. However, heavier vessels, mainly the warships constructed at dry docks, can break through the ice and carve paths for other ships. And of course, special exception for the submarines, which can break the ice as they surface. As for refreezing, it'll take about 1 to 2 in-game days for water to refreeze over. For the infantry, however, there are some improvements. First up, the humble bonfires and campfires can be upgraded now to field ranges. These take metal beams to construct, but will be far more durable and resist artillery and vehicles from ramming them. To keep yourselves warm inside of a bunker, go ahead and build yourself a bunker hearth. This will warm up every connected piece in the bunker. And just like regular bonfires before, both of these require diesel to fuel up. But if you're sick of dealing with the surprise of weather, have I got a new super weapon for you. This is the weather station. Built on a 3x3 concrete bunker piece, much like the storm cannon or intelligence center. When you set up a weather station, it allows you to receive basic information about current weather conditions in the local area. For example, this newly constructed weather station is completely unconnected to others. You can see the current rain conditions, wind conditions, and its weather station code, but you can't get any more information beyond that. The trick isn't just to set up one weather station, it's to set up multiple weather stations across various regions and connecting them with the weather station codes. Linking multiple weather stations together will increase the amount of data you can collect. So once you link enough stations together, you'll be able to get a weather storm's intensity as well as forecast upcoming weather conditions. The other nice advantage is once you daisy chain or link up 4 weather stations and have all their sensor gear pointed at the same region, it will actually spawn a weather icon on that region, letting everyone, even the people who aren't in the bunker bases, know that there is a weather storm happening in that region. Although these weather stations and weather networks will be expensive to set up, knowing ahead of time that a snowstorm is coming might just let you flank around an entire city and cut it off rather than having to assault through the bridges. Do note, however, that only one weather station per region will count towards its weather network's accuracy, so build one per region. Another note about weather in general is that concrete settle times will increase relative to the intensity of storms that are passing overhead. Another main feature is that facilities will now leave behind husks once they are attacked and destroyed. Husks, much like bunker or FOB husks, can be rebuilt and recover some of the resources that were previously inside. And production orders at facility husks that are rebuilt are preserved if the facility is destroyed and then rebuilt. This will make for more interesting environments to fight in, especially now that these just don't disappear immediately. You'll actually be able to fight through burnt out industrial areas. Some other changes include assembling or transferring items from large ships no longer cancels border travel. Improved wind logic reduces the total randomness of the system, improving the overall feel. Production orders at facilities or the concrete mixer no longer block demolishing or packaging when the production orders have nothing in the input or output slots. Resources within a trailer can be used in factory orders. The byproduct of power production now scales down when power supply is greater than the power demand. Equipable items now list which equipment slot they will go in. The construction arm animation of assembly stations has been updated to be precise to each vehicle, similar to the dry dock arm animations. There's been various client and server optimizations. Gates can once again be constructed over rail tracks and small gauge railway tracks. Trailers of tractors now gain heat if the tractor's engines are on. Maintenance tunnels no longer appear on the map intel for the enemy team. Reservation times are now shown to players uniformly across all reservable vehicles, structures, and emplacements. Exterior lights on large ships now turn on when the driver's seat is occupied. Some climbable ladders have been added to the dry dock cranes. There's been improved snow visuals on some important assets, or assets with egregious visual issues. Some balance changes include: the devs are finally retooling the sniper rifles. The Colonial Auger and the Warden Raka have both had their stability gain rate increased, maximum inaccuracy increased, stability gained from cover reduced by 95%, and their crate production time has increased from 125 to 250 seconds. Some differences include: for the Colonial Auger, its high velocity modifier has increased from 25 to 55%, while the Warden has increased from 35 to 125%. The Colonial Auger has had its refined material cost increase from 25 to 30, while the Warden Raka has had its refined material cost increase from 15 to 25. And while these are great improvements and will certainly make the snipers generally more viable, I'm still disappointed in certain things, like the fact you still can't use these standing unless you're firing over someone's shoulder. But I'll save these comments for perhaps another suggestion series on sniper rifles. And maybe I'll throw the shotgun in there for good measure. Material pallet construction time increased from 5 to 15 seconds. Explosive materials renamed to explosive powder. Heavy explosive materials has been renamed to heavy explosive powder. Gravel, explosive powder, and heavy explosive powder are now resources that can be transported in resource containers and similar vehicles. For gravel, assembly time has been reduced from 5 to 3 seconds, and the crate size has been increased from 10 to 20. For heavy explosive powder, the conversion ratio has reduced from 20 to 1 to 5 to 1. The conversion time has been reduced from 13 down to 3 seconds, and the crate size has increased from 20 to 30. Stack transfer size has increased from 2 to 5. The retrieve quantity increased from 10 to 20. All explosive powder costs have been doubled. All heavy explosive powder costs have been quadrupled. The stationary harvester for scrap and for coal, their output limits have been decreased from 2,500 to 1,850, and the cycle duration has increased from 12 to 18 seconds. For the 120mm, factory crate cost has changed. The explosive powder has been reduced from 30 down to 0. The heavy explosive powder cost has increased from 0 to 5. Basic material cost has increased from 60 to 120. For the ammunition factory large shell factory cost, explosive powder cost has been reduced from 3 to 0. The heavy explosive powder cost has increased from 0 to 1. For the T5 Percudio has been separated from the facility, Tier 2 tech. For the O-75B Ares super tank, the secondary gunner has been removed. Both engineers will load one primary gunner, and the primary gunner will control both cannons. Cannons can be fired in extremely quick succession for a 1-2 punch. Its vehicle's top speed has been increased, the inventory size has been increased from 1 to 3, the assembly material 5 cost has been reduced from 175 to 105, rare alloy cost has increased from 0 to 3, the Cullen Predator super tank assembly material 5 cost has been reduced from 175 to 105, and the rare alloy cost has increased from 0 to 3. The Tempest Cannon, RA2, assembly material 5 cost has been reduced from 175 to 105, but the rare alloy cost has increased from 0 to 6. All concrete foundation health has been increased from 3850 to 4000. All tripod health has increased from 750 to 1200. The Katina 4 auto rifle, low velocity modifier has been removed, but the maximum possible accuracy has been increased. The Booker Storm rifle, model 838, has had a 20% high velocity modifier added. The Daucus ISG-3 reload time has increased from 2 to 3. Mortar shrapnel shell explosive powder cost has been reduced to 15. The mortar flare shell explosive powder cost has been reduced to 10. The Molten Wind Flame Torch range has been increased by 17%. The Willowbane Model 845 range has been increased by 34%, so flamethrowers can shoot further now on average. For the radio backpack, intelligence gathering radius has increased from 30 to 60, so it should match watchtowers now, and the weight has been reduced from 27 to 20%. And there were added sulfur mines to each resource layer with oil as a primary resource. There were some bug fixes with this update, but I'll save that for the patch notes down below.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That was it for this update. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you saw in this update video, please like, share, and subscribe. It really does help me to do this consistently over the years. But as for the new ice mechanics, as someone who just got done watching the AMC series The Terror, what are you most excited for or frightened for when it comes to ice and Foxhole? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, good luck, keep your heads down, and stay in your foxholes. Bear out.
No!
Okay, well, Bear win. Okay, great idea, Bear.
It would have worked if the ice was more solid.